And a hello and a big caw to you. This is Battlehawks Hub Weekly, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken here on Sports Hub STL. I'm your host, Joe Roderick. Make sure to tune in to Sports Hub STL for Battlehawks coverage throughout the entire season, as we will be bringing you a weekly show just like this each and every Friday, along with post-game shows after all of the Battlehawks games. And along with that, all of our shows will be available to you in audio form on the Battlehawks Hub podcast feed from Apple, Spotify, or any of the major outlets that you get your podcasts from. Also, want to let you know that we have written coverage on sportshubstl.com from Michael Kleckner, so make sure you head on over to the website and follow that as well. And maybe throughout the season, we'll have Michael on to talk about your Battlehawks, who are getting ready to start their season on March 28th, just a week from today. Hey, coming up on this show today, a chat with head coach Anthony Becht from earlier this week on the Randy Karraker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley. We'll also go over some of the odds on the UFL championship for 2025, which will once again be decided right here in St. Louis. This week, first week of the show, we just want to get you ready for the Battlehawks as they get ready to get their season started a week from now. Before we do that, though, we do want to tell you about our sponsor, which is Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, and they will have their new Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken Battlehawks Box, as you see there, for just $8.99 for chicken breast strips and potato wedges. And I got to tell you, from that picture right there, it looks absolutely delicious. And you can also score up to 30% off Battlehawks tickets, along with the 4 of their chicken strips and potato wedges for just $8.99 only at Lee's Famous Chicken. I mentioned we'll have a chat with head coach Anthony Becht coming up in just a bit. But looking ahead, take a look at what to expect this year from your Battlehawks in the 2025 regular season, starting off again next Friday night against the Roughnecks of Houston down in Houston, a Friday night affair at 7 o'clock, before making their way back here the following Sunday, April 6th, against the San Antonio Brahmas. That will be here at the Dome, as I mentioned earlier, is where the UFL championship is going to be decided in June. DC Defenders on April 13th, Arlington Renegades on April 19th, down in Arlington at Choctaw Stadium. They'll take on the Michigan Panthers on April 26th. That game again back here at the Dome. And the Arlington Renegades on May 2nd, also here at the Dome. They head down to Memphis to take on the Memphis Showboats on May 11th. And then back here at the Dome again, the Birmingham Stallions on May 17th, before hosting the San Antonio Brahmas again here at the Dome and finishing their season at Audi Field in Washington, D.C. on May 30th. A quick season for the UFL, but lots of action in all of those 10 weeks of the year. Hey, right now, let's take a look back from earlier this week. The Randy Karraker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley had the head coach of your St. Louis Battlehawks, Anthony Becht, on their show. And let's take a listen to see what that sounded like.
And now joining us on the Randy Karraker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley is the head coach of the St. Louis Battlehawks, Anthony Becht. Coach, training camp underway. Great to have you with us. How you doing?
Oh, thanks, Randy. Brooke, great to be on. It's been great. You know, I love this league. I love this opportunity. I love that it's my third year, and we've grown every single year we've had this football team. So, obviously, just like other teams, we have a lot of obstacles that we're overcoming to get to the season. But, man, really feel good about where we're at and excited to put a great product on the field for 2025.
And we're excited to serve your incredible fan base with a lot of Battlehawks coverage here at Sports Hub STL. And I know that you're really proud of the fan base that the Battlehawks have built in St. Louis, and it'll be fun for your organization and us to serve them as much as they want to be served.
Yeah, I love that. You know how I feel about the fan base. I really have a lot of admiration for, obviously you guys that cover us and give the folks at home, the fans, a little bit about what we're doing and how we're trying to be great. And of course, for us, we're so appreciative of every single fan that comes out every single year. We're looking for new fans to come out. We're looking for the old fans to come out. We've had a winning product the last 2 seasons, and we want to take those steps to add on to last season after we got to the playoffs and weren't able to get past San Antonio, but we really feel good about it. And again, we're excited about this roster, and we're going to narrow that roster down here on Wednesday night. And we're going to have this 50-man roster ready to go.
Speaking of the roster, we're going to have a new quarterback this year for the Battlehawks. So how is that competition going? And who are the 3 quarterback candidates that you have currently right now for the fans to get to know?
Yeah, so a familiar face, Manny Wilkins, is back. He was our backup the last 2 years, knows the system. Really, guy has the ability to come in and, really take it by the stranglehold and take charge and take those steps, looking for an opportunity. But we also brought in other competition, and we've opened it up every day. We've switched it. Max Duggan is a player that took TCU to the national championship a few years ago, got drafted by the Chargers, and then played a second season with them with Coach Harbaugh, and then was released. Great opportunity for him. Again, understanding, learning the offensive system, the reads, the checks, the protections, all these things will help him grow and ultimately, allow him to be on the field. And he's had a great camp. And then the third guy is Chevin Cadero. And he's a young quarterback that came out of 2023 from San Jose State. He's got a ton of big-time records with the WAC conference or Mountain Conference, whatever that one's called out west. But, he really dazzled the fan base and had a really successful college campaign. And he's electric with the ball in his hand. He's learning every day. Again, a guy that's learning the college system, trying to get acclimated to the pros. So every day, guys, they've had some great days. And we are truly allowing these guys to practice every single day with the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, see how they react, see how they go. And it's been really going well.
And Anthony, you mentioned that Manny Wilkins knows the system, having played in it for 2 years. But you have a new offensive coordinator, Bruce Gradkowski. Congratulations to him. Goes to the NFL with the Lions. So how have you been able to maintain the same system?
Yeah, no question. So, obviously, yes, it's great that our coaches get to excel and take their talents to the NFL. And Bruce is with the Detroit Lions, like you said. Phil McGegan was with our program last year as a receiver coach. Phil McGegan's got a ton of NFL and college experience. As a matter of fact, he shared a tiny cubicle with a guy named Ben Johnson with the Dolphins for 3.5 years. So those guys grind it. They know how to come through. Good mindset. Quite frankly, all of my coaches could have been the coordinators. I could have called the plays, but I think it's about opportunities for guys. And Phil, this is his first true opportunity in a pro level to call the plays, just like it was Bruce's first year 2 years ago. So, really excited about it. The system in general is the same. And obviously all coordinators have their touches in verbiage, formations, movements, and things of that nature. Everything's about simplifying, right? So we don't have a lot of time in training camp. How can we get everything across, keep the bare bones of it, and then kind of add some things to help our guys play faster? And I think Phil and really the whole offensive staff has done a phenomenal job.
This will be a kind of a tough question, but I know that A.J. McCarron was a fan favorite. How hard was it to move on from him being the quarterback?
Yeah, wow. I love AJ so much. AJ was always a year-to-year thing for us. I thought it was important when I got into this league to really establish ourselves as a team. And, if we're spending a lot of time at a quarterback position, it's going to be hard for us to win. And AJ's a guy, had a ton of experience, an older player. And I wanted to get him back in the league. I wanted to help him get back in the league, utilize the platform. And after year 1, it was phenomenal. 7 games, got himself with the Bengals for the in-season. So just, really proud about that for him. And then year 2 is another conversation. Okay, hey, he had something to prove, chip on his shoulder. We all had some, a lot of players back in year 2. It was like, all right, let's run it back again and let's go do this thing. And, he got nicked up at the end of the season, fought through injury, one of the toughest competitors I've ever coached. And, we just came up short. And then after the season, it was really about, okay, we're doing this now for 2 years, what direction we want to go as far as what this league's about, opportunities. And I just wanted to open it up, to some new faces, and really thankful for AJ. I think there's a lot of things that may have gone down or he said, she said. At the end of the day, totally respect AJ. And, I'm glad and thankful we had 2 years with him. And hopefully he's a fan at heart on back home with his family, but, just a highly successful person on and off the field.
Coach, you had a really good, really talented defense last year. What are some of the changes that you've experienced defensively? Who are some of the new guys that we'll be able to enjoy watching this year?
Yeah, man, so excited. We're always trying to improve, Randy. So, again, we got our returning safeties back. We also bring back our returning starting safeties from 2 years ago that went to the NFL, and Nate Metters and Lucas Dennis. So now you're talking about 4 all-conference players at the safety position. So just pumped up about that. Our pass rushers are back from last year. Really added some depth and some strength to our internal defensive line. That's been a 2.5-year kind of process, finding the right fits. And I feel like we've got those pieces now that really have, been able to stop the run in practice, do some good things in our scrimmages. And, we have Seabass and Chris Payton-Jones at the cornerback position. But again, how do we get better? We added some length. We added some speed. We added some NFL preseason experience, along with adding a linebacker to go along with a very good linebacker returning class that we had. So, listen, I mean, this defense will be improved. It was really good last year. I think we were like top 3 and total yards given up, and it was really close within 20 yards of us being number 1. So we should be better. And quite frankly, as our offense grows, I love to say we're going to hit the ground running, but we know even with the best quarterback in the last 2 years, it took us some time. But we feel good about where we're at, where we're going, and the direction of this team. And I think overall we have a good team. So that'll bode well for us going into the season on offense, special teams, and defense.
Looking at the schedule, and of course you can get some of those tickets, but I'm looking at the schedule and I see May 11th. You guys will be facing the Memphis Showboats, and you'll be facing a familiar face on the other side. Coaching-wise, Ken Wisenhunt will be the head coach at the Memphis Showboats this year, and you played for him back in Arizona.
I did. Well, even before that, he was my rookie tight end coach with the Jets. So that was a great experience. Learned a lot from him coming in as a first-round draft pick. A young, raw tight end, kind of looking and trying to find his way, and quite frankly, thrust it into a role where you had to play now. And there was a lot of pressure, and he helped me through a lot of those things. And it was tough sled. It was a hard first year for me. I had a little nicked up injury, played through it, and then 8 or so years later, he becomes the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, like you said, and he brought me in the year after they went to the Super Bowl. We made a great run into the second round of the playoffs after that. And look, he's going to be great for our league. He's a great teacher. I think, for him, on the back end of his career, he just wants to give back with all the knowledge and experience that he brought. So it's a great name for us, great name for Memphis. I believe he lives in Nashville area. So, relatively close to that situation. So it's great for the league, and it's good to see a good coach come in and really make this league even better.
Hey, Anthony, you have a unique perspective that practically nobody else has about football, in that you are involved with the UFL, you're involved with the NFL as a preseason broadcaster with the Jets, and you have a son that's playing college football. So every type of football you're aware of. And so I'm going to ask this question. When Dick Vermeil was the head coach of the Rams here, he never used the word team. He always used the word program. This guy will fit in well with our program. And so it wasn't a one-year thing. He literally built a program. There was always somebody to plug in the next year if a free agent left. In any level of football, can you build a program anymore?
Well, you can with us, because everybody makes the same amount of money, and everybody's got a chip on their shoulder. Now, we don't have the year-round process like the NFL does. We don't have OTAs. We don't have the ability to get together and put things together. So the key component is building a culture in a month of training camp. And it's like, oh, that's impossible. How do you do that? I feel like we have certain ways that we do things here. One, with bringing back 37 guys that were on the roster last year. We have 27 new players. So now it's, again, I always allow my players to police their team. And the guys that have been here a year or 2 years, they understand the culture and the standard that's set. And quite frankly, that's set every single day by me. The messaging is very direct, it's very consistent, and it's very clear. And if guys don't want to buy into that, then they can go try and play somewhere else. And obviously those things are tough in these leagues, because all these players have spots, and they're just not enough teams. So, we just try to expedite that process by just staying on the staff, staying on the team. And that's really my job. I'm not a play caller. So, every day is important to me. Every day, the culture is important to me, the standard, making sure I don't let anything slide in the cracks because of the limited time we have. And then game day situationally being great. I really do, take a lot of passion and pride in situational football, making sure our guys are clear and we understand. And then on game day, being on top of all those scenarios and situations that can come up, so that I don't lose a game for our football team. And, you know, we see that every year in college and pros every week, really, during the season. That does happen. So, and of course, you're right. I do get the full gamut on the Jets with the NFL side. It's 365 football for me, which is great. And of course, my son, who I'm proud of, and heading into his third redshirt junior year, his third year starting. So it's been a full circle thing for me, and really just humbled and really accepting of all the roles that I do have.
And it seems unusual. You mentioned bringing 37 guys back. With the transfer portal in college and with free agency in the NFL, and the way that the UFL is, 37 veteran players coming back and 27 new guys. That's a pretty good percentage for any level of football with your roster to bring back.
Yeah, no doubt. And those 27 players, that we don't draft those guys. Those guys are free agency, so it's recruiting. I call them. You know, other teams are calling them. We're trying to, wait for them. Are they going to sign in the NFL or a futures contract? Maybe talk them out of a futures contract if it makes sense to come in our league, so that other teams are open to signing them after our season. So again, there's a good mix of college. There's a good mix of pro. But again, the players are hungry. And even though we have 37 guys returning, it doesn't mean 37 guys are making the team.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, all positions are up for competition. And as we narrow it down, today is one of 3 practices left. So we will cut the roster down from 64 to 50 after our scrimmage against Arlington on Wednesday. And we're rocking and rolling. We play early, a couple of days off, and then we're going to start our weekly prep for Houston as we go on the road and open it up for the league on Friday night, the 28th at Houston.
You mentioned your son, and we have to talk about Rocco because he has really made a name for himself in college football. I was watching the Pop-Tart Bowl, and he was named the Pop-Tart Bowl MVP. He's been excellent, and I'm excited to see what he does this season. What is that like for you? You talked about, of course, being so proud. Of course you are, but what is it like? Are you like coach, dad in certain moments? Does he call you for some coaching advice, or how does that all go down?
Well, thank you so much for that. Just really surreal, number one, for me. I know how hard it is to play at the highest level in college and at the next level, but when you're a quarterback, it's a little different. His maturity and growth and his just professionalism throughout this process. I will say that he works extremely hard. He understands. We talk every night. We've talked every night since he left me in high school. It's important. He understands. He gets it. I don't bog him down with a lot of misinformation. He's got a great coaching staff. You talk about culture setters. Matt Campbell is a guy that has done that. And that's a big reason why we chose Iowa State, and just the perfect place for him. He learns in a pro style system that's very transparent and very adaptable to the next level. And he's leading his team, last year, 11 wins, most in program history, over 100 plus years of football at Iowa State. So it's been awesome. I love it. It's great for him, and he continues to just put his head down, and he's a great team player, a great leader, and just proud to watch him, carve his journey out. And I am a helpless father in the stands. I can't control anything. I can't talk to him. And there's no signaling on the side. I can't do anything. So I'm at the mercy of whatever happens, but have definitely, tried to guide him and give him the tools that he needs so that ultimately he can carve out his own journey.
Anthony, a couple of rules changes in the UFL, another tweak to the kickoff rule, which I love. I'm so glad the NFL adopted the basis of the UFL's rule. But the one that I love the super challenge. I don't know why the NFL hasn't adopted this. I love the super challenge that you have in the UFL, and that you'll have a second one now where you can challenge anything. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's huge. I was an advocate for that, the last 2 years, because there's really no science behind the first and one flag. You're trying to save it, but you also want to make sure you use it at a time. Like, is it a difference maker? And you're pulling and tugging, and then you're at the mercy of the video screen, at the fields, where sometimes, I think we had a different video person every week at St. Louis running the big board. So, it's hard, so coaches, I try to get a lot of information. We do look at certain things in certain scenarios where there's a high probability of potential challenges. And but now having another one, if you get it right, we'll feel good about, hey, we're going to use it when we see it and need it. And if we feel great about it, then hell yeah, that's an advantage for us to get the other one. And now we can save that other one for a crucial moment at the end of the game, or really whenever it comes up. So yeah, I think it should come to the NFL to be able to challenge anything. Like, if you miss the penalty, we can challenge it. Those things are really cool for us. But again, it's very difficult for a head coach, when we don't have every single type of technology, but enough to try to make those calls and get it right. So, again, try my best on that, but nice to have two if we do win the first one.
And that almost allowed you to win that playoff game last year, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, just being on it, it's a collaborative effort. We have two coaches in the booth. We always ask the defensive coach to watch the offense and vice versa, just in case we miss something or something's there. But there are critical plays, critical moments where you got to be on it. And I felt for the most part, we did really good with it. So it's not an exact science. We try to get it as best as possible. If I was watching the game on TV as I was calling it, I feel a lot better about it. But unfortunately, I can only use my two eyes, which I'd like to think are getting a little older, but still sharp enough.
All right, Anthony, one more thing. And I've done this for a long time. I've never asked this question of a coach at any level, baseball manager, football coach. How fired up are you about your new turf?
Oh my gosh. Man, I was just shocked when I went out there in the off season and saw what, the folks at St. Louis at the Dome had done. It's really phenomenal. I mean, that turf is next level. I believe it's the same turf as what Mizzou has at their university. So really excited. And then the lights. I mean, to have the ability now to have better lighting, pure lighting, LED lighting can be turned on and off at the flick of a button. We can do light shows, introductions. I think it makes it even for a better fan experience. And then aesthetically watching the game on TV. Although I did like the turf and a feel, it did look a little off on TV. So I think right now that's going to look even better for us. So there's no doubt we're excited, and it's going to keep us healthier, right? Because it is the highest level turf that's out there. You always would love grass, but we also love playing in a dome in neutral weather conditions every single week. Well, actually 6 weeks instead of 5 this year. So again, we're going to try to go undefeated at home like we did last year in the regular season. We do have that extra game. And of course, the goal is to get to the playoffs again and win a championship.
And that home opener right around the corner, the overall opener right around the corner, and tickets are available. And we can't wait, A, to watch your team play, and B, to be involved and to have a Battlehawks show every week here on Sports Hub STL. And then we'll have post-game shows as well.
Yeah, I love it. April 6th, Sunday. We got San Antonio at home. We need everybody. Those first games at home are usually huge. I just ask the folks out there, give it a try if you haven't. It is a cheap ticket, and it's a fun time. You guys have been there. I know you guys will speak on it. I think I love walking out of the tunnel to see what we got, and it's always been spectacular.
Coach, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it, and we will talk to you soon, and we'll see you at that opener.
Thanks, guys. Go Battlehawks.
Thank you again to the St. Louis Battlehawks for letting us have Coach Becht on earlier this week. Looking forward to seeing what he does with the boys starting with their season next Friday night. Again, all of our Battlehawks coverage, including that interview you heard earlier this week on the Randy Karraker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley, brought to you by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, the St. Louis Battlehawks box, only $8.99. Get it while supplies last, and then get your tickets. Save up to 30% on your tickets for the Battlehawks, with tickets starting at just $14. They talked about the season, and earlier in the show, we talked about the schedule coming up. They're just the UFL and the way that they have gone about getting these games on TV is nothing short of it really is. It's remarkable how they have used all of the same platforms, if not more than what the NFL is using, and the media partners that they have worked with. 43 games will be shown across Fox, ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, and FS1. All 43 UFL games during the league's second season, as they've merged together 2 playoff games, 1 championship game. ESPN will present 22 regular season and post games on ABC, ESPN, and ESPN2. Fox Sports will show theirs amongst Fox and FS1, and the UFL will feature 10 weeks of regular season coverage that will include 10 live regular season matchups on Fridays as part of Fox UFL Friday nights, and that's where your Battlehawks will start next Friday as they kick off. There will be 5 double headers during the season. ABC, ESPN, and Fox will have those. The conference championships will feature the 2 top teams with the best records in their respective conferences. playing each other for the right to play at the second UFL championship on Sunday, June 8th on ABC. Coming up in later on this year. 74% of all the UFL games will air on either ABC or Fox. Before we wrap up today, want to just kind of give you an idea of what to expect out of this Battlehawks team as we await the full roster reveal coming up, I believe either later today or into this weekend. And when that roster is revealed and you see the team that Anthony Becht will be leading on to the field, you will see a Battlehawks team that right now, according to Vegas, are the second best odds to take home the UFL championship, a plus 375 behind the Birmingham Stallions, coached by Skip Holtz, who, again, led the team last year to the 2024 UFL championship games and shut out the San Antonio Brahmas in that game. So Battlehawks plus 375 to the Stallions plus 225. And then it's a big drop off. The DC Defenders and the San Antonio Brahmas at plus 600, with the Michigan Panthers at a plus 650. Arlington, Memphis, Houston, those odds, they drop significantly as you head down. Last year, the Birmingham Stallions, as I mentioned, shut out the Brahmas by a final score of 25-0. That's going to do it for our first episode here of Battlehawks Hub Weekly here on Sports Hub STL. Again, a huge thank you to our sponsor, Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Don't forget about that Battlehawks box for $8.99. Go there and ask for it and tell them that Sports Hub STL sent you. And make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube page, and make sure to subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcast too, so you don't miss any of our Battlehawks coverage throughout the entire season, as we will have our shows every Friday morning getting you ready for the game that weekend. And we'll also have those post-game shows after each game. And then check out the website, sportshubstl.com. Throughout the week, Michael Kleckner will have articles up throughout all of the season. So looking forward to another great UFL season with your St. Louis Battlehawks. So until next week, this has been Joe Roderick saying caw to you here on Battlehawks Hub Weekly here on Sports Hub STL.